On one of the sad days, there was a girl sitting in a place crying after her entire family died and her village was destroyed. With her at that time was her friend, Kafka, who was trying to comfort her and shoulder some of the burden on her. He says to his friend, Mina, when I grow up, I will be the strongest officer in the defense force, and I will protect you. I will never let you be sad, and I will always be with you, Mina. She also promises him that she will also become an officer in the defense force and will protect him too. She won't let anything happen to him. After that, the years pass on. These two and the days go by, and Mina grows up indeed, becoming one of the strongest defense squad leaders, and everyone loves and respects her. But our friend Kafka was a failure. His physical strength was very weak, and he barely worked in cleaning for the squad Mina worked in. So after they kill the kaiju, Kafka and his team go to clean up the remains of those kaiju to return it to a new city again. He currently lives in an apartment that's falling apart on him from his life is miserable in every sense of the word. He even passed the legal age that would allow him to join the defense team. And so he's supposed to give up his dream of standing with his friend Mina on the battlefield from the start and just stay put like a coward as you see him now. Anyway, the next day, Kafka was going to his work and everything was fine with him. He finds a new guy who joined the cleaning crew and his name is Reno. His dreams are the same as Kafka's dreams and he also wants to join the defense force and become an officer. The kid asks him and says, why did you give up? I heard from everyone that you tried to apply to this defense force more than 12 times, but you were rejected. Kafka said to him, I swear, there are many things that are impossible for us humans. We are born like this, and the difficult things we can't overcome no matter how hard we try, and that's why I gave up. The kid then replied to Kafka and said to him, I promise you that no matter what obstacles stand in my way, I will never give up. I must become an officer in the defense force. And after that, he leaves him and walks away. Kafka, of course, after hearing all that, his spirits were lifted great and he sat down and cried. Anyway, after that, they go to their usual mission and start cleaning the kaiju and removing their remains and all that. Reno, of course, wasn't used to it and was disgusted by them, but Kafka was helping him, even giving him some of his food and teaching him the basics, and everything was fine, finally. And at the end of that day, the kid thanks Kafka for everything he did and says to him, I'm sorry for insulting you this morning and insulting the effort you're making, but what I want to know is that the defense system raised the acceptance age this year by another year. In short, you can apply again to the defense force. I'm telling you this because I noticed your feelings when you were talking with me this morning. Of course, I might be wrong in saying this, but I wanted to say it, you know? Okay, bye. And after that, Reno left and walked away. Kafka, of course, was affected by all these words, and before he could reply to him, a monster came out from behind Reno. It was about to kill him. Kafka immediately, at his top speed, runs towards him and catches up. Then he looks at Reno and the monster in front of him, gets terrified, and says to him, I want you to leave now. Run and alert anyone about this monster's location. I will stall it until you escape. Reno, of course, didn't agree and says to him, I won't leave. You're sentencing yourself to death. I'm with you, and we'll die, both of us together. Kafka said to him, no, man. You have a dream, and you must achieve it. I will never forgive myself if I were the reason for your death. So go quickly, so you don't die, Reno. Indeed, the kid listens and leaves, and after that, the monster attacks him. Kafka runs towards it, and enters through a broken building like that to run away from. He pushes himself through it, hoping just to survive, but the monster wasn't letting him go, not giving him a chance to rest. It even breaks his leg and throws him to the ground. And that's it. It seemed like the end. Kafka, in those moments, remembered Mina, and also remembered the promise he made with her. He cried from within and gave himself up to the monster. And that's it. It seemed he would die. But then Reno comes back to him. Yeah, I won't let you die while I'm here. If I can't protect you now, then how can I be a leader in the defense force? Kafka couldn't believe his eyes. He says to him, what brought you here, kid? We're both done for now. We're gonna die. Reno says to him, what's the problem? The important thing is that I did my duty, and also I will never give up. The monster, in that time, had finally gathered its strength, and it seemed like it would kill them. Imagine then who would let someone die? No way, my friend. And then she finishes off all the monsters in the area, chasing them down, and then reassures the soldiers with her, letting them know that there are no casualties. After that, she looks at Kafka as if she doesn't know him. The kid also saw her in front of him, and it was hard for him, and then he faints. He wakes up later in the hospital, very sad. His leg is broken, and his condition is pitiful even for an unbeliever. He kept thinking about his fate that lay ahead, and his profession, which he could no longer work because of his broken leg. And you feel as if all the worries of the world are coming down on him, my friend. But his thoughts are cut off by Reno's words from beside him, saying to him, if it weren't for you today, and if it weren't for you saving me, I would be dead now. You were so great today, Kafka. The kid, after those simple words, becomes very happy, and his confidence returns again. He repeats that. He will never give up, and thanks Reno for those words. Everything became fine in the end, but suddenly, a strange bird sees Kafka and enters his mouth. Reno heard him screaming, didn't understand anything, and tried to quickly remove the curtain to see him or know what was happening. He removes the curtain, and here was the shock. Yes, Kafka's appearance had changed and transformed into a monster form. The kid didn't understand anything and didn't know what was happening. An old man who was passing by coincidence saw Kafka and also in front of him called the police immediately and reported what was happening. It seemed things were about to blow up, weren't they? At that time, the two were standing in a state of shock and not understanding anything. Reno says to him, the old man reported it, and that's it. The defense force will arrive. It seems you're going to die, my friend. Kafka was terrified in the end and tried to smile at the old man so he wouldn't be afraid of him. But that sight, kid, the old man goes into a coma, and that's it. The defense force is arriving, and at their head was, of course, Mina. Reno, at that time, had realized that Kafka needed to hide, and that's because if the defense force saw him, he would be executed. The situation then, he also went to the wall like that and was just touching it, and then with one touch, he broke it. He and Reno ran and tried to hide before the forces arrived, but Kafka didn't know how to control his monster body, and things kept coming out of his body. He was no longer human. At that time, the kid stopped like that and knew that it seemed he could never achieve his dream. But Reno says to him, man, what dream and what nonsense? Cut the drama now and come on, let's hide to the side before anyone catches us. Kafka was still going with it, and then the kid sensed it. Yes, there was a monster of the same type that attacked them today hiding underground, and it seemed to have started the attack. Reno said to him, great man, they'll get beaten up a bit and leave you alone. Come on, let's hide. Kafka said to him, okay, and they hid indeed. But the monster had come out while they were talking, and a house was destroyed for a mother and her daughter. It seemed they would die. The little girl was struggling with all her might to save her mother, but she couldn't do anything. The monster also saw her and went to her, and that's it. It was going to eat her. Imagine then, would Kafka let that monster eat her? My friend, no way. Then, the perfect punch, he flies and saves the girl. Of course, he was surprised by his strength, but he knew there was no time, and he had to finish everything quickly before the defense force arrived. And that's why the kid says to Reno, watch me. He gathers all his strength in his hand and lets out a final roar and punches the monster with a punch that sent him flying off the face of the earth. Yes, Kafka finally now had the strength that would defeat the monsters. After that, the kid goes to the mother and her daughter and reassures them that they are okay. He was about to leave, but the little girl was calling to him, thanking him. Yes, that was the feeling that Kafka wished to feel. The feeling of being a hero and saving people, and them thanking, that was originally his dream. After that, Kafka managed to control his monster form and return to his face. He talks to Reno and says to him, I finally know, my friend, what I will do. Come on, let's go. And indeed, they left the place before the forces arrived. And when they first arrived in the area, they found no trace of the monsters. Everything was perfectly fine. Mina then didn't understand anything and asked that little girl about what happened. She told her everything, and that a kind and beautiful person saved her. When Mina hears these words, she is shocked and learns that there is still a monster at large. She learns the news from the reports, and they name the monster that escaped Kaiju number 8. After that, the days pass for Reno and Kafka, and they apply for the Defense Force entrance exam. A letter comes to them that they were accepted in the first stage, and Reno becomes very happy and runs to Kafka to tell him. He arrives at his place and finds him sitting on a monster corpse, transformed and busy eating. Reno says to him, damn you, you'll expose us. You're useless. Fix your form, man. Kafka fixes himself indeed and says to him, man, don't worry, there's no one here. This is a ruin far from all the people. Anyway, then, tell me, what did you bring? Reno said to him, this is the acceptance letter. You finally passed the first stage. Kafka says to him, man, I pass it every year. The disaster for me is in the second stage. Anyway, we'll try and see what happens this time. Indeed, the next day, Kafka and Reno get in their car and go to the exam location. They see all the people applying there, and everything was fine. But suddenly, while they were standing, a girl comes in on them and says to them, place you parked your car in is mine. Move your car. Come on, Kafka says to her. Yours? Girl, there are many empty spots. The girl says to him, number 5 is my lucky number today. That's why I will take parking spot number 55. Come on, move the car quickly. Kafka said to her, I'm not moving anything, and show me what you will do. The girl said to him, you brought this on yourself. She removes her jacket and activates her suit. Her body releases a tremendous power, and she lifts the car with one hand. After that, she throws it on the ground, and Kafka is shocked. Who are you, girl? And how did you do that? The girl says to him, I am Kikoru. Memorize that name well, because I'm the one who will make your life miserable in the exam. The kid's pride was hurt, and he goes to the car. He also fixes it. He says to her, and my name is Kafka. Memorize my name so I can surprise you in the exam. Of course, the girl is shocked when she sees his strength and knows that the exam this year will be entertaining. After that, the girl leaves and walks away and goes inside for the exam. Reno, at that time, was furious and asks Kafka and says to him, why did you use your strength? Do you want to expose us here or what? You don't understand, kid? Kafka sits apologizing to him and says to him, man, so we don't look weak in front of her, and so on. Reno says to him, okay, fine. And after that, they begin the exam, which consisted of some physical exercises and difficult things like that. Our hero in all those exercises was last, and literally it seemed he came here by mistake, my friend. The first part of the exam ends, and Kafka comes in 219th in his class. He was literally in the last 10. On the other hand, Kikoru comes in 5th in the class, standing like that, looking at him triumphantly and saying to him, it hasn't even been 2 hours since your big talk, and look at you, standing on the ground, losing. I told you I would break you in the exam. Come on, know your place. When Kafka hears these words, he gets very excited and says, Earth, split open and swallow me. And it was a very funny scene, honestly. Anyway, in the meantime, the Sergeant Hoshina was showing the applicants' papers to Mina, who is the leader of the 3rd Division, meaning she wasn't too strict on anyone. But when she saw Kafka, her heart beat for him like that, and she said to him, "Speak." He introduced himself to her after that, along with all the applicants in the exam, and said to her that this year is full of talented people, and it seems we will see something great. After that, the 2nd exam is announced, and it was supposed to be that the people participating in the exam would clean all the kaiju corpses in the area. But of course, because our friend is unlucky, the exam is changed, and they are required to kill all the kaiju in the area. They are given equipment and weapons to help them in the battle, called combat suits. And this suit, anyone who wears it changes its form on their body and releases power that corresponds to the user's talent. For example, Reno's talent is 8%, and that kid's is 18%, and this one is 20%, and so on. Of course, the Sergeant Hoshina says to them, "Don't worry if it appears that your talent in extracting the suit's power is low. Now, with time, the ability will increase, and you will be able to raise the percentage. As long as your talent is even 1%, you can pass this exam." But Kafka's talent was 0%, and literally Hoshina was shocked, laughing at him and saying to him, "You're a miracle, kid." Kafka was also trying to do anything, but he embarrassed himself again. On the other hand, Kikoru's talent was 46%, and that is a very high number. Like, what are these powers, girl? Anyway, the exam begins after that, and everyone took their weapons and flew at the monsters, and Kikoru uses the suit's power and shows no mercy. The guys behind her are doing the same, and there's no one sad in the group except our friend Kafka. The weapon is heavy on him without the suit's power, and he literally can't move it. Reno, of course, was with him, delayed and also refusing to leave. And at that time, the Sergeant Hoshina talks to everyone and says to them, "Each one of you has a monitor tracking your body's condition. If we notice that anyone is injured or can't continue, we will withdraw them immediately from the exam. And by that, they will fail and won't pass at all. But if you succeed, the leader Mina herself will reward you. She is here now, watching, so do your best so you don't get embarrassed in front of." When Kafka hears these words, he gets excited and throws his big weapon away and picks up the pistol. Yes, something his size, my friend. He and Reno go to those monsters. They confront them, and Kafka recognizes it. He throws a flashbang at it, and the monster can no longer see anything. After that, the kid says to the two of them to aim at its stomach, and of course they listen to him, and then the monster is killed. And what happened, my friend, is that Kafka knew he couldn't kill the monsters with his weak strength, so he decided to support his comrades and point out the monsters' weak points. He had, after all, been working with them for several years. He was then going to help someone else, and then a monster came out from underground and hit him. The kid was thrown against the wall, his whole body injured, and the sergeant orders the monitor to be prepared to transfer. At that time, the monster was approaching and everyone was watching, and Kafka refuses to give up. He says, "If I give up now, I will fail the exam and lose the only chance I have. I will not give up even if I die." The monster was also close to him and going to kill him, and then everyone is shocked. Yes, Kikoru finishes off that monster with all courage. She stands in front of Kafka like that and says to him, "I will not allow anyone to withdraw or die as long as I am on the battlefield. Come on then, leave it to me. You look like a mess. Like that, I'll go to continue killing the monsters." When Kafka hears her words, he is very affected and motivated, and the words hurt him. He looks at his leg, and it was broken. The Sergeant Hoshina then says to him, "If you can't move, it's better for you to withdraw and quit with your dignity instead of dying and us not being able to save you in time." But can you imagine that Kafka's will could bend a break like this, my friend? No way. The kid pushes himself and gets up and shatters the numbers. Yes, Kafka finally, his talent emerged from 0 and became 1%. True, my friend, this is a blessing, even if it's small now, but it's the path to achieving his dream. Everyone, of course, was surprised by what happened and how someone's strength increased on the same day like that. They were extremely happy after that. Kafka then says to Reno, "Thank you for standing by me, my friend, but I want you to continue alone so I don't hold you back and cause you to fail because of me." Reno said to him, "Hand in hand, boss. I will never leave," and he carries him on his shoulder in a ridiculously funny scene, my friend. The Sergeant Hoshina was dying of laughter, very happy for them, and it seemed he wanted them to pass. And that's it, my friend. On the other side, Kikoru had released all her energy and was raining down destruction on the monsters and the kaiju, showing no mercy. The guys were watching her, amazed by that power. And the girl literally wasn't leaving any monster alone. She was finishing off all of them indeed, and went to the leader to kill him. And then she gives him one in the mouth and finishes him off. Yes, like that, the exam finally ended. Everyone passed and no one failed the exam. Kafka himself was shocked. What girl? This speed. I hadn't even managed to open the grenade in my hand. Don't blame anyone but yourself, boss. Kikoru had come to claim her right from the bet. But suddenly, fog around the last monster appears. A shadow of a monster also appears, and the girl was just looking behind her. And then she took a shot that broke her. Yes, a new monster appeared in the area. The girl didn't know who this was, and the monster was also talking to her in the human language. He says to her, "How are your wounds healing so quick?" Then he gives her shots in every part of her body, sits her down on the ground like that, and the monster that had died wakes up again. All the monsters in the area, the monitors and soldiers, hear Kikoru's screams and see her injuries and understand that something wrong is happening. They increase the monster's strength too and find it has multiplied. And and terror reached the max level. It seemed all the guys were going to die, weren't they? Kikoru was also trying her best to stop that monster, but she couldn't handle it. The Sergeant Hoshina and Mina enter through the gate to save her, but the girl is in the farthest place, and it seemed they wouldn't arrive in time. In the meantime, Kikoru was being beaten by the monster, and her arm breaks, and she remembers everything that happened to her, how her father was confident in her and knew she would be the strongest and would never lose. She remembers his words when he said to her that you must be perfect. She becomes sad about her failure and surrenders to the inevitable reality. The monster gathers its energy, and that's it. It will kill her. It strikes her, and then nothing happened. Yes, the monster reached the place, but Kafka had finally arrived. He was about to break the bones of that damned kaiju. Kikoru, when she sees him, is shocked and can't believe her eyes. What brought you here, and what are you doing now? The kid, after that, transforms into his monster form and says to her, you did your duty and more. Leave the rest to me, Kikoru. At that time, the girl who was monitoring the kaiju the moment a new kaiju appeared, and its power was terrifying, says to the commander Hoshina, its power is measured at 99.8, and the commander said to her, the gauge must be broken, because if this is true, then literally we are facing one of the most dangerous monsters in the world. And indeed, my friend, Kafka was gathering all his strength and says to the monster, your time with me is up. He hits it with a blow loaded with all his energy, and then it was annihilated off the face of the earth. The girl was watching in astonishment at the strength and greatness of Kafka, and literally couldn't believe her eyes. And a dangerous monster that was behind her was about to kill her. But then the kid arrived in time. He said to her, don't worry, as long as I'm here, nothing will happen to you. But the most important thing, please, don't tell anyone from the defense force. Reno also comes from behind him and gives him one on the head, saying to him, what are you, blabbering about, kid? You left half your brain, it seems. And he tried to fix his body, but the whole place is monitored by cameras. Come on, let's escape from here quickly before anyone notices. Kikoru, when she saw them, was even more shocked and fainted from her injuries. The guys took her and got her out before anyone caught them. And after that, the commander, Mina, and Hoshina arrive at the place. They don't understand anything and don't know what happened. They are sure that Kikoru is strong, but it's impossible for her to have defeated that monster alone. They realize then that there's a big issue in this matter, and it seems something is happening behind their backs. Hoshina then also notices. He notices that these destruction marks are the same as those from 3 months ago, and it seems he noticed something, my friend. After that, both Kafka and Kikoru are placed to receive treatment, and everything is very cool. Reno then was sitting scolding his friend for transforming in front of, but after that thanks him, and the situation is very sweet. Mina was standing behind them and heard Kafka talking about his dream, and that he will never give up, no matter what happens. She interrupts them and says to Kafka, I found out that you saved Kikoru and brought her here, and that's why thank you for everything you did, and she left. After that, leaving them and walking away. The kid, of course, was about to die talking to her or saying anything to her, but she had already left. At that time, Kikoru wakes up from the coma, and Hoshina enters her room and asks her what happened. The girl then remembers Kafka's words to her after he saved her, so she doesn't agree to tell him the truth. She tells him that she is the one who killed the monster and hides everything about. Hoshina then says to her, okay, fine, and leaves her after that and walks away. In the meantime, the monster that appeared in the exam area was sitting in the bathroom like that, listening to the news, waiting to find out how many were killed. But the surprise, 0 casualties. The monster literally jumped from his place in shock and knew that someone had handled the situation. After that, he changes his clothes and his appearance and rejoins his friends. He goes out to walk with them, and it seems this monster isn't messing around, my friend, and isn't up to any good. Anyway, after a few days, Kafka leaves the hospital and he and Reno go and wait for their exam results. The kid was extremely nervous and says to Reno, it's your fault, for God's sake. It seems I failed. Again, I wish I hadn't gotten my hopes up, and his condition was very difficult. After that, one of the workers with them brings them the exam results, and the guys receive from him the envelope, and each one of them sits to the side like that to open it. Kafka, of course, was very nervous, but when he saw the result, he was even more shocked, and we didn't find out anything. Anyway, after a few days, the acceptance ceremony is held, and all who passed were present to receive their assignments and be divided into the 3rd division, and at their head was the heroine Kikoru. She came up on the stage, and Mina praised her for her achievement, and the girl was very happy, but also sad, because she was happy to finally join the defense force, but sad because Kafka, who saved her, wasn't present, and it seemed he had failed the exam. But can you imagine that he failed, my friend? No way. In the meantime, the kid enters on them and greets everyone. He says to them, good evening, and what happened was that while they were viewing the results, Kafka was supposed to fail miserably, but the Sergeant Hoshina said to them, I want this kid with me as a reserve officer cadet, and that's because he prioritized helping his comrades and saved anyone in need and didn't give up even when he was injured, and we need people like him, and because honestly, he makes me laugh too, and he's lighthearted, and I don't like depression in my team. And indeed, Kafka enters late because he is a cadet, not an officer, and can't hear their speech. Anyway, at that time, the kid was very happy and felt that he was finally walking the same path as Mina. He said to her, listen to me, Mina, I'll reach you soon. Everyone, of course, course, is surprised because he spoke to the commander without formalities. But the commander surprises them even more and says to him, "Because you spoke to me disrespectfully, you will do 100 push-ups right here, and you won't leave until you complete them." Yes, my friend, what were you thinking? Anyway, after that, everyone enters the training area again, and they continue to increase their abilities. Reno is the fastest. His energy increased and reached 18%. That kid also gets 20, and this one 15. As for Kikoru, she reached 55%, and of course, that is a very great number. But if you're asking about our hero Kafka, my friend, he got only 1%, and you'd think he was the happiest one among them, constantly joking with his friend. And Hoshina watches him and keeps laughing. But the truth is that Hoshina included Kafka with him, because when Kaiju number 8 appeared, and its power was 9.8, the arsenal couldn't determine the injuries, nor did they know what was up with Kafka's suit. He feels that he has a connection to what happened. Anyway, after a while, Kafka and Reno go to sit with Kikoru in a restaurant to explain the situation and everything. They tell her exactly what happened, and Kafka says to her that he is thinking of telling the Defense Force leaders so they can solve his problem for him or treat him. But the girl shocks him and says to him, "You're crazy, kid. That is impossible to happen. And that's because if the Defense Force finds out you are a kaiju, the first thing they will do is kill you. But if they don't kill you immediately, they will turn your body into a weapon to use against the monsters." The kid, of course, gets terrified by her and says to her, "So what's the solution? For God's sake, tell me." The girl said to him, "The solution is for you to hide your strength as much as possible and not let anyone know about it, or you will die. And to shorten my life, I will keep your secret and won't tell anyone. But if one day I see you harming humans, I will kill you then." Kafka laughs like that and says to her, "Agree. If that happens, then I will rely on you to stop me." Anyway, after that, the days pass for the guys in physical training and athletic and mountain training and everything your heart desires. Kafka, of course, was exerting more effort than everyone and trying to keep up with them, and he even studied at night, refusing to sleep in his allotted time. The Sergeant Hoshina then also sees him when he enters and says to him, "Sleep early, kid, so your body can absorb what you're doing." But Kafka refuses to listen to him and says to him, "I am the least among my peers. If I don't exert more effort than them, then I will definitely be the first to be discharged, and that's why I won't sleep." When Hoshina hears his words, he is very affected by him, and after that, he leaves the key for him. He says to him, "But turn off the light after you, boss." And he had already left and walked away. But before he left, he said one sentence to him: "Don't try to get attached to anyone here, because anyone with you one moment might the next moment be dead." The kid is shocked like that, and before he can speak, the alarm rings. Yes, a group of monsters began attacking the camp, and it seemed things were about to blow up. Hoshina then says to Kafka, "Get ready, hero, because this is your first mission, and it seems it's not an easy mission." After that, everyone gathers, and the citizens flee, and the situation is about to blow up. The army also joined the Defense Force and tried to facilitate for the residents and provide them with transport. Mina also gathered with her entire team and informed them how the Hanju appeared from underground and in its place and how it is spreading. She tells them that she will take care of the big monster from above, and you are responsible for all the small ones spread out here. After that, everyone gets in the vehicles and they divide the plan among themselves, and the battle is about to begin, my friend. Indeed, they arrive at the monster's location and wait for it on the surface. Hoshina then monitors the situation around them and understands everything. Yes, the monsters came out of that big Hanju and began to spread, and we must handle the situation immediately. The army also informs them that all the citizens have been transferred and everything is perfectly fine. Hoshina then gives a speech to all the new recruits to start the mission and says to them, "This mission is your first mission. It is the one that will determine your worth in the team and whether you will continue with us or not. I want you to do your best, heroes, and fix the situation as much as possible so that you pass the exam. Come on, let's begin." Everyone, of course, when they hear these words, gets extremely excited, and Kafka himself was burning with enthusiasm and says to himself, "Let's go." And indeed, the small kaiju began to attack, and the team kills them, and Mina was riding the plane to go to a place where she will strike the monster with the artillery. She also started firing at the monster from below and the planes from above, and the situation was extremely cool. The monster indeed began to move to the place they wanted, and the small monsters were spreading, and the guys below had it under control. Kikoru then wasn't going easy on anyone she saw. She literally finished them off. Kafka, on the other hand, was standing like that, not knowing what to do and unable to handle those monsters and despising himself. In the end, he was thinking of any way to help his comrades, and nothing came to his mind except one idea. Yes, I must examine the places of the corpses of these monsters and identify their weak points to make it easier for my comrades. Indeed, he examines the corpses and determines the weak points and reports them to Hoshina. The commander, of course, is happy with Kafka because he is trying to help his team, but Kafka shocks him again and says to him, "I found that these monsters have reproductive organs and can live even after we kill them, but if we want them not to get up again, we must destroy these reproductive organs." The commander is very impressed with this information and informs the entire team so they pay attention and destroy the organs. Everything was going perfectly in the end. Reno at that time, was also fighting the monsters with all his strength, and he was literally brilliant. His comrades behind him were trying to keep up with him, but the kid wasn't paying attention to them. All he could think about was that he wanted to increase his energy so his friend wouldn't have to transform and protect them again. He was busy killing everyone in front of him. He is a true friend, I swear to God. Anyway, at that time, Mina had reached the location and charged her cannon, standing waiting for the signal. She remembers Kafka's words to her from before when he said to her, "I will be a great defense officer." She says to him then in her mind, "Watch me, Kafka." And at once, her energy is released and reaches 96%. She concentrates everything on that monster, and then she strikes it with a missile blow that blew up the monster's entire body. Literally, its skin was torn and its core appeared, and the team reports it to her. She charges and blows it up again. Yes, like that, the monster should be defeated, but Mina gives it another blow to finish off the small monsters coming out of it, and Kafka was watching and literally couldn't believe his eyes. What girl is all that power? And Hoshina was passing by him and heard him saying, "Exactly like that, boss. You must be amazed the first time you see her strength. She is the person that you, and everyone want to stand beside. So will you be able to do that?" Kafka says to him, "Man, it's impossible for me to be like her." Hoshina said to him, "No, if it's about the cannon, then I am weaker than her. Yes. But if we come to the small monsters, then no one can beat." And then he finishes off one of the monsters at the speed of light, and Kafka was shocked. "What are these lightning speeds?" Hoshina says to him. "The secret is that I am the strongest one who uses it, and I am the strongest here after Mina. So do your best, man, so you can catch up to us." After that, the small Yoju come out of the monster and spread in the city. One of them was finished, and the rest is up to the team. Indeed, the guys engage in a confrontation with those monsters, and Hoshina monitors the situation from above. Everything is extremely cool. Reno then had the situation under control and finished off everything in front of him, and he and Iharu were looking for anything else in front of them. They arrive at that area and see the surprise. Yes, someone is standing in front of the Yoju corpses and saying, "How are they still alive until now? I'm sure I planted the reproductive organs in. There must be something wrong." Reno says to him, "Man, sir, what are you doing here? Leave, because the place is dangerous and you could die." The man looks at him like that and says to him, "Die? Who is the one who can do that?" And it turned out that this is the same monster that attacked them before, and it seems things have blown up, my friend. In the meantime, all the defense teams were in place, and Hoshina and Kafka were in one spot, and no one knew what was happening. The monster then stood up and raised its finger towards Reno, and then the blow hit above his friend's heart. The kid falls, bleeding profusely, and Reno doesn't understand what has happened. The man also changes his form to a kaiju monster, and finally, the situation began to be understood. Immediately, Reno tries to report to the squad leader what is happening, but no one hears him or replies to him. The monster says to him, "Don't exhaust yourself. This entire area is surrounded by a barrier I made, and no one will be able to hear you or come to you here." And then Reno understood that it's over like that. It seemed the end, and he screams and says to his friend Iharu that he should escape from here quickly and try to alert anyone so they can save them. The monster then doesn't wait for him to reply, even, and then attacks him again. But the surprise is that he managed to dodge his attack, and that happened because Kikoru had told them about him before. She told them that this monster strikes with hidden and fast attacks, but their direction is always the same as the direction of his finger, and that's why Reno managed to dodge that attack, and the monster attacked a second attack on Iharu. But Reno caught up to him and says to him, "Come on, escape quickly. We can't do anything now." At that time, Iharu understood that he was just a burden on his friend, and he left him, not to tell anyone to come, help him, or do anything. At that time, Reno remembered his friend. Yes, he remembered Kafka when he did the same move with him and saved him also from the monster. And he gets extremely angry, puts on his mask and says to him, "I will break you," and attacks him, and he no longer sees what's in front of him. But this monster had very high energy, and the kid was literally being broken. The monster dodges all his attacks, humiliating him, and it seemed he would die. It prepares a strong blow to finish him off, but then someone came to his aid. "Yes, I won't let you sacrifice your life for me, my friend. We fell into this trap together, and we will only get out together." Reno says to him, "Kid, are you crazy? You didn't get anyone to come save us, and you do this? We're just gonna die for nothing." Iharu said to him, "When I left you, I felt the helplessness and weakness of losing my friend because of me. It didn't leave me at all. The first time Mina saved me when the monster was about to kill me, and from that day I decided that I would become the strongest and never give up. But today, I felt that I am still the same weak self from before. My friend who was weaker than me is protecting me and sacrificing for me, and even saved me from the attack. I will not give up, and we will break this monster together, Reno. Come on, so we don't die." Reno, at that time, when he hears these words, gets motivated and says to him, "Okay." He launches at the monster to finish it off, and it seemed he understood everything around him. In the meantime, Hoshina knew that the signals of both Reno and Iharu had disappeared, and it seemed there was something wrong. Kafka also finds out and suspects that he is in danger, and decides to go to his friend and catch up to him. At that time, both Reno and Iharu had united in fighting the monster and were trying to stop it. One was immobilizing it with lightning, and the other was advancing sack on it, and they were making the best cooperation with each other. The monster tries to hit Iharu to get rid of Reno quickly, but the other dodges it. Yes, like that. Your final finally in front of the cannon, my friend. Reno was gathering all his energy in the weapon and wasn't going to let it go. He hits it with many consecutive blows and literally doesn't stop. Smoke filled the place, and Iharu thought that the monster was finished and was happy, but the surprise was that nothing happened to the monster. It made a protection for itself from the corpses and cuts through them and meets Reno from behind them. It hits him with its blows and then breaks his body, and Reno falls to the ground, his body bleeding from everywhere. Iharu tries to help him. He also does, but the monster hits him and makes him unable to do anything. It goes to the kid who has fallen on the ground and keeps torturing, and Reno still didn't agree to give up. He tries with all his strength in front of him, but it's over, my friend. The monster was in front of him, raising its hand to kill him, and Iharu, from his weakness, was crying, praying for anyone to save them, but it's over. The monster had raised its hand and was about to give him the final blow, but then the legend arrived at the place, and then gave him a punch of the brave. The monster was wrong and didn't understand what was happening to him. Yes, Kafka had arrived at the place. When he sees the scene in front of him, he is literally shocked, going crazy from the greatness. Reno, also, when he saw Kafka, said to him, "I'm sorry I couldn't be stronger and made you transform again to save." Kafka says to him, "Don't worry, my friend." He carries him and puts him to the side like that so he doesn't get hurt, and in his body was an unnatural amount of anger towards that monster. The monster also got its head back on and attacks him. The blow comes at Kafka, and he feels the pain of his friend. He says to him, "You were hurting them like this, right? I won't let you go." The monster brings out many other tentacles and hits him with all stupidity, thinking it can do anything. But then Kafka blocks the attack with skill and launches at it with great speed. Then he rains down blows on it from all directions, and the monster can't keep up to do anything. It tries to make a wall of corpses to catch up to him. But against whom? Me? Kafka? Swallow this. Come on. The monster was literally humiliated and unable to do anything. And Reno and Iharu were also wronged by that strength. This overwhelming ability, Kafka, he was also still continuing to hit the monster and wasn't willing to let it go. He says to him, "Then you hit my friend? Come on, then take from me the best rocket punch on your head and the head of everyone around you." The monster literally took the entire city's worth of beating and was thrown to the ground, and its core appeared. Kafka went after it and didn't let it go and prepared himself, and that's it. He would kill it. But some of the soldiers arrive at the area because of the destruction and see Kafka in front of them. They report the commander of his location, and the kid gets confused with them, and as a result, the kaiju heals itself quickly and escapes from the place. It goes up to a surface like that and says to Kafka, "I finally know how I will deal with it." It strikes towards the humans, and the kid flies to them and protects them from the attack. After that, the kaiju uses its abilities and disappears from the place quick, and it seems what's coming isn't safe, my friend. Anyway, after that, Kafka also hits the ground and tries to escape at top speed and return to his human form before anyone notices his absence. But from where he doesn't expect, he finds Captain Hoshina behind him, saying to him, "You're lighting up the place, man." He reminds him then that he is the one who hurt Reno and Iharu and gets angry at him. He activates his full power, and it reaches 92% and attacks the kid with great and crazy speed. Literally, Kafka can't handle him, and it seemed this was the end, wasn't it? No way. Kafka lures the situation quickly, and he is trying to escape from Hoshina and not kill him by any means, so he isn't killed or even hurt his commander. But the other wasn't showing mercy and was hitting him with all stupidity. Literally, the kid is being cut to pieces. Hoshina then notices that this monster isn't attacking him and knows that. Its movements are strange, and it seems there's something in the matter. After that, he gets very angry at him and stops in his place and gathers his strength and says to him, "Okay." He strikes a blow on the fly that cuts off Kafka's leg and arm. The kid hadn't recovered from it yet, and then Hoshina was in front of him preparing the second one and strikes the final blow on his heart. But the surprise is that Kafka had planned for it. He knew that he would aim for his heart, and that's why he prepared this trap for him. Hoshina then is finally trapped, and the kid gathers all his strength and then hits his weapon and sends it flying. After that, he takes advantage of Hoshina not looking at him and escapes from the place quickly. Hoshina, of course, was standing astonished by what happened and how this monster hit the weapon and didn't attack him. He feels then that something wrong has happened, and after that, reports to Mina that Kaiju number 8 escaped, and he is sorry for that. He returns after that to sit with the team, and Mina sees him sad and asks him, "What's wrong, Hoshina?" Of course, he doesn't agree to tell her what he suspects and says to her, "Everything is fine, don't worry." But he was, of course, thinking about the movements of the kaiju and its strikes and everything in the past battle. He says, "This monster was thinking and responding and not attacking randomly like the monsters. There must be something wrong." And indeed, in the meantime, news comes from one of the teams that shocks them. Yes, they inform them that the monster that hurt Reno and Iharu was in human form at first, and after that transformed and did all of that. In the meantime, Kikoru was sitting waiting for Kafka to return, and she was very sad herself because she didn't know whether she should trust Kafka because he saved her, or what to do if he hurt people, or how to act. She was waiting for him to return to understand everything, and indeed, the kid returns. Of course, his energy was depleted and he couldn't move, but Kikoru, when she sees him, becomes very happy because he turned out to be honest with her, and everything is perfectly fine. After that, the kid goes to the hospital to visit his friend Reino, who is still unwell and undergoing treatment. When he first wakes up, he scolds Kafka for coming to save him, and after that apologizes to him for being weak and not being able to handle the monster. Iharu then was present with them in the place and says to him, "Who saved us, man? Who was able to move? It was the dangerous kaiju number 8 who saved us." And they change the subject and joke about it in a funny scene, honestly. And it was a cool thing, you know. Finally, after a period passes, Reno and Iharu leave the hospital, and a celebration is held for them for getting well and being safe. Everyone was eating and drinking and joking, and it was the coolest thing, you know. Finally, at the end of that party, the commander Hoshina says to them the useful news. Yes, officially, Kafka is finally a full officer and is no longer a reserve officer, and so he will wear the official suit. The kid was literally shocked, and the guys were also shocked, and the atmosphere was extremely cool. Like, what did I do to get promoted? After that, the captain Mina puts the suit on him and gives him his speech, and the kid was about to leave, but Mina then says to him, "Don't get carried away in your excitement too much just because you became an officer. You still have a long way to go before you can stand with me on the battle." When the kid hears these words, he gets excited and says to her, "I will reach you, don't worry." And at that time, Mina makes him do push-ups again because he spoke to his superior in a disrespectful way, and time is running out. Like, you're going to do this to him every time? Anyway, Mina then says to Kafka that it was Hoshina who pushed for you to be an officer in the defense force. Official, so live up to his expectations then. The kid after that said to her, "Okay," and left, and kept studying all night about the kaiju monsters as usual, you know. And after that, he was finally walking, but he saw a lit room in front of him like that and said, "Who is still awake until now?" Then he took a look inside, and indeed, he was surprised. Yes, it was the Sergeant Hoshina, busy training at night, and literally his strength had become terrifying. He imagines his past fight with Kafka and draws the visualization in his mind and the fighting and everything. Then he finishes him off, and Kafka, when he realized, literally fell from terror. The Sergeant Hoshina also noticed him and said to him, "What's wrong, man? Don't stare like that. I'm just visualizing my last fight with the kaiju. The last time he escaped from, but if I meet him this time, I won't show mercy." Kafka, of course, swallows his saliva after hearing these words, and that's it. His terror was at max. But after that, he remembers Mina's words and says to him, "Don't worry, Commander. I will live up to your expectations of I won't let you down ever." Hoshina, after that, jokes with him like that and says to him, "I don't expect anything from someone with 1% strength like you that could help me, but I can place my expectations on you at a rate of 1%. When Kafka hears that word, he becomes very happy and was extremely happy. In the meantime, specifically in the sky, there was a very large group of kaiju monsters flying in the air, led by a monster that is red like that and talks like a human. It seems he's not a good type, my friend, and he's coming to destroy them. After that, with Commander Hoshina, he was still researching the matter of kaiju number 8 and 9 and feels that something close to him has happened. At the same time, Kafka was standing on the balcony, gathering his thoughts and seeing what he intends to do next. But then he sees a fiery attack on him and on the entire headquarters. Yes, the kaiju began attacking the base and the strikes filled the place. Everyone started to feel it. The Commander Mina wasn't present at the base, and many soldiers are missing, and so Hoshina is in the middle. That girl is also determining the value of those monsters, and most of them are not ordinary monsters. No, my friend, these are monsters under the kaiju direct, and their name is Honju, and it seems they aren't messing around. Immediately, Hoshina puts on his suit and talks to his team to gather them and meet him outside as soon as possible. Indeed, everyone heard his words and launched towards the monsters, and Kafka was standing, watching the situation and very shocked. What brought the Waforn here? And not just one, but a whole herd, and it's also striking a specific area, and that means one thing only. Yes, there is a monster controlling, and I must report to Sergeant Hoshina as soon as possible and inform him of everything. Indeed, he calls him, and Hoshina was walking and heading towards those monsters. Kafka says to him, "Be careful. These monsters have someone controlling them, and we must finish him off first." At that time, the monster was in front of Hoshina, and the commander saw it. He said to him, "Your words are correct, Kafka, but hang up now because it seems things are about to blow up." Indeed, the monster started talking to him and said to him, "You are lighting up the place. You seem to be the strongest one here, and that's why I will kill you first." Hoshina, of course, was surprised because the monster could determine his energy level, and more surprised because the monster talks like a human. That girl is also determining his strength, which is measured at 83. I wonder if he can handle him or not. Hoshina? Immediately, the monster raises its arm, and then the battle began, and Hoshina barely dodged the attack. There's another attack on, and the kid wasn't keeping up, but he manages to dodge the attack indeed. He says to him after that, "Don't worry, we will play now." At that time, the monster gets extremely excited, and its eyes turn blue, and it lets out its final roar. The monsters that hear its scream react to it and scream in its place, and it seems like it gave them a new order. Hoshina then was just starting to realize the situation, and then the monster was on him. Focus with me here so you don't get destroyed around. Finally, he draws a weapon, and they begin to fight seriously, and literally the fight is greatness. At the same time, the rest of the defense teams also started hitting the monsters from all sides, but their strikes have no effect, and literally everything is in vain. At that time, time. Kafka calls everyone and informs them of the useful news. Yes, the weak point of these monsters is in their back, and you must turn around them and hit them from there. Indeed, everyone listens to Kafka's words and turns around those monsters. And just as they are about to hit them, a monster comes out of the wall. It covers its friend, and everyone fails. These monsters are also cooperating and covering for each other, and no one can handle. Can you imagine that the situation would remain like this, my friend? No way. At that time, Kikoru enters the battlefield with the new weapon of hers, and then finishes them off. Since the back isn't giving results, then I will break your bones from the front. And it turned out that the weapon she has, Commander Mina, is the one who gave it to her. So she currently is considered the third strongest in this defense force. And of course, they will rely on her after this. Then, the girl uses her weapon and swings at the monsters, and literally whips their father. Reno also managed to use the ice bullets on those monsters and immobilize them. And the two made cooperation with each other, and it was the ultimate class. At the same time, Hoshina was still continuing to drag that monster away from the soldiers. He tries to get it inside their base to reduce casualties. The monster then had realized and is continuing to attack the kid and still wasn't showing mercy. Bring your best. Come on, I'll do everything you want. Indeed, the girl opens the base door, and Hoshina is about to enter, and then the monster broke the door. Take it easy, man, and calm down. I was just opening it for you. Hoshina then was just looking at the monster, but didn't find it in front of him. The monster was on the wall, preparing the spiral attack on him, and then gave it to him. But the surprise is that the monster's arm was the one that got cut off. Literally, everyone is shocked. Yes, the monitor Hoshina has released his full energy and will face the monster with all ferocity. In the meantime, a girl named Miyase is facing a monster too, and she couldn't handle it. It was about to kill her, but Kafka saw her. He also ran to her to save her. He uses his abilities and tries to increase his leg speed, and indeed manages to save her. Of course, the girl was shocked by his speed. The kid was still disoriented, and then another monster was about to finish him off, but Kikoru arrives at the area and then turns around it. Reno also arrives with her, and they break all the monsters in the place. And the greatness, no way, guys. The rest of the teams then, who were outside, returned to hit the Hanju from every direction, and Hoshina then was standing, talking to the monster with all ferocity, and says to him, "You made a mistake by targeting this team. You will be whipped now." The monster then doesn't listen to the words and continues to attack him from every direction. But do you think this will make a difference with him? Tell him with him this time, my friend? No way. Hoshina turns around it and cuts it from every part. An arm, then another, then a third, then its leg. Literally, it's a massacre, my friend. Its neck was also cut, and with ease, boss. But the monster was constantly regenerating itself and returning its arms, and literally Hoshina is being worn out. He succeeds in hitting it again after that. Win! And the monster's core appears in front of him. Finally, the target is identified. He flies at it and hits it with the final blow, and literally everyone said, "That's it, it's over." But the surprise is that the monster was still alive, and even its energy increased too, to a large degree. And Kafka felt it. His body began to grow, and strange things came out of it. After that, it made vapor that filled the entire area so no one could determine where its core is. And after that, it appears in its new form after transforming complete. It finally used all its energy, and the girl, when she measured it, was even more shocked. Yes, currently its power has reached 9, and that means it seems it's finally the end. In the meantime, Kafka feels the monster indeed and its danger, and knows that something is wrong. Hoshina is also terrified after he sees this monster's transformation, and attacks him with all stupidity. He tries to cut it from all directions, and with all his strength, but without any benefit. Hoshina's swords were too short and couldn't penetrate the monster and reach its core, and everyone was watching the sergeant and were terrified for him, very worried about what is happening, because they see him struggling with all his strength, even though they are sure of his loss. Knowing the final result, the suit of his is also heating up, and its power begins to decrease, and his condition is pitiful, even for an unbeliever. Then, boom, also sends him some monsters that explode in front of him and reduce his energy more and more. And Hoshina is very surprised. He turns around the monster and goes up a ladder like that with all his strength and tries to hit the monster from its back. But the monster had planned for it and hits him with a blow from its back that breaks all the houses and tickles his entire body. Literally, everyone, when they saw him, said, "That's it, it's the end." Hoshina like that is finally dead. But the surprise is that Hoshina opens his eye. He remembers all of his past from before. He remembers what happened to him too. He remembers when everyone told him that you can't be an officer because you use swords, not guns and swords, have short range and are weak, and you won't be able to handle the giant kaiju. They reject his application many times and don't agree to include him in the defense force. He also remembers his father when he said to him that no one will recognize your talent. You must give up. You will never be fit to be an officer. But who else but her recognized his talent, said to him, "I need you. You will be the sergeant of my unit and protect it in my absence." He gets extremely excited and goes at the monster with all his strength and doesn't give it any chance, and attacks from every spot, from above and below. He uses all styles and won't give up, and the monster literally can no longer tell where it's being hit from. It stands, unable to move, and Hoshina was still going to hit it from here, and then the monster grabs him, pressure on him, him and literally squeezes him. The amount of pain Hoshina feels wasn't normal. Kafka saw him in that scene and felt sorry for him and said in his mind he can't take it anymore. He runs to him to use all his strength and transform, even though he will be exposed and everyone will know his truth. Rino tries to stop him and says to him, if you go now, everyone will discover you and you will be in trouble. But Kafka knew all of that and still would transform. But then suddenly, the monster arrived at the place. Yes, the strike of the brave. Hoshina looks at the monster like that and says to him, I am the winner. Mina gathers a second shot and gives the monster a blow that sends its other arm flying, and literally her energy is terrifying. That girl also located the core's place and said to her that it is in the middle of its back. That everything is perfect. We just need the monster to stay still so she can hit it. Other monsters attack her from all sides, but the teams block. Hoshina and Kikoru also united with each other and hit the monster in its leg and made it fall in front of them. Kikoru had used up her energy, and Hoshina continues to attack the monster to immobilize it in the place for the longest possible time. He squeezes his energy and tries to hit the monster with everything just to keep it in place until the shot is prepared. He had finally given his last energy, and the monster was about to eat, and then Mina thanks him, saying to him, I am happy that you are my sergeant. She gathers all her energy in her weapon, and then gives the monster a blow that breaks its bone. Its core appears indeed, and Mina locates its place and determines another blow, then finishes it off. Yes, like that. Finally, the fight is over. The 3rd Division won, and the monster was defeated. Everyone was happy and couldn't believe themselves. Kafka was also happy and kept crying after that great victory, and couldn't believe himself at all. He looks after that at everyone, after exerting that great effort, and says, yes, this is my dream. Since I was little, I wish to live these happy moments. I am very happy. But do you think that happiness will last forever, my friend? No way. Suddenly, the monsters gathered in the place and made a very large circle, like a time bomb. The monster enters beside its brother and inflates, waiting for the order to explode. Waiting for what order? Isn't the kaiju dead? No, not yet. The kaiju was in its last breath and was looking at Hoshina like that and mocking him and saying to him, in this battle, we will come out with a draw. Everyone will die. And indeed, that girl had calculated the energy of the explosion. That will happen, and it's impossible for any of them to survive. So that's it. Everyone felt the collapse and didn't know what to do. Can you imagine that the world will remain sad like this? With the legend Kafka present, my friend? No way. The kid launches with all his strength towards the bomb, not caring about anything, not caring if everyone sees him. Hoshina and everyone, when they see him, are shocked. How did his speed become so high? Yes, Kafka won't let them die after all that hardship. Transforms into his kaiju form in front of them. He says in his mind, I won't let anyone get hurt. Yes, after all this, they might sentence me to death, but everyone sacrificed their lives for the team. I am no better than them, and I will sacrifice my life too. He gathers indeed all his energy, puts thrusters in his legs, and flies at the bomb, and lets out his final roar. He hits it with a blow with all the strength he could muster, and his blow was very powerful and sent the bomb upwards. After that, he falls on the ground, and the explosion indeed happens. Everyone lowers their heads and tries to avoid it, and Kafka also, despite using all his strength, remains standing, using a shield and protecting them, and sacrificing everything he has for his team. He stands tall in his place, waiting for the reward, but the reward wasn't as expected, my friend. The commander Mina raises her weapon at him after he saved her and says to him, you are under arrest. The kid looks at them with closed eyes like that from exhaustion and sadness and couldn't move, and said to them, do what you think is right. I won't move. Indeed, he is arrested and taken to prison after that. Then, all the defense force leaders gather to hold a meeting and see what they will do with Kafka and what is the way they will try him. The director Shinomiya at that time decides that he will supervise him personally and orders his transfer to the Arakaki Marine Base. And indeed, Kafka was sitting imprisoned in a dark room like that, handcuffed, and his condition was pitiful, even for an unbeliever. Mina and Hoshina enter on him with some soldiers like that, and the kid was about to speak, but Hoshina grabs him and says to him, don't utter a single word. They went out indeed, and all the members of the 3rd Division were standing outside, and sadness was very apparent on. Kafka was also sad and couldn't look into his friend Rino's eyes or say anything to him. He says to him in his mind, take care of yourself, my friend. It seems this is my end. Car leaves and is about to drive away. Rino comes out of the line and talks to him. He says, I am confident that you will return, Kafka. I am waiting for you, my friend. The kid, of course, is very affected by these words. And Mina also closes the car door and says to him, there are no cameras here. No one is watching or anything. I can tell you everything I want. When I saw you rushing towards the explosion at high speed, I was shocked. After I found out you are a kaiju, I was sure in my heart that these actions must come from you. Don't worry. No one in the 3rd Division hates you. On the contrary, we will try to get evidence and gather everything we have so you get out safe. The kid, of course, when he hears these words, is very affected and says to her, well, do you still remember our promise, Mina? The girl says to him, yes, I remember, and I will always wait for you to stand by my side, Kaf. The kid at that time can't hold back and sits crying, and his condition was pitiful, even for an unbeliever. He goes indeed to the Arakaki base and is imprisoned in, and all exits are closed on, and literally he is being whipped. In the meantime, all the members of the 3rd Division were sitting, sad sad and not knowing how to act in this matter. That girl is also saying that Kafka would never hurt anyone. He is the one who saved me when I was about to die. Iharu also said the same thing, and everyone was in a state of confusion and wanted to do anything to save their friend, but there's nothing in their hands they can do. Mina is also, in the meantime, collecting everything about Kafka to present to the Defense Force leaders and make them change their opinion or reduce his punishment. Hikaru also went to her father, Shinomiya, and said to him, I want you for a matter, Dad. Kafka is the one who saved my life from the monster on training day, and I am sure he is human, but I want you to give him a chance. Father at that time took a pamphlet like that from his hand, and from behind it for his daughter, said to her, the heart inside this is not a human heart. No, it is a monster's core, and he is done for. He is no longer human, and we must finish him off. The girl at that time was very saddened by the words and was about to leave, but she stops like that and says to him, despite all that, I want to trust him. After that, she leaves the Tual office. In the meantime, and before Kafka's trial, all his friends tried to communicate with everyone they knew to reduce his sentence or lessen anything, but of course, to no avail. And the whole matter is in the hands of our friend Shinomiya, who is currently going to test him. Kafka, at that time, was sitting and remembering Mina's words when she said to him, you must show them that you are human so you can live. He says in his mind, I will not give up and will show you that I am human and get out of it. And he had barely finished his words when Shinomiya enters on him like that, and with him are some people carrying 2 bags. His features are terrifying, and it seems he is intending to whip him. Kafka was about to say to him, I am human, when Shinomiya interrupts him and says to the people, unlock the restraints on this kid quickly. The kid objects, saying to him, how can I unlock the restraints, man? It might kill you. Shinomiya looks at him with one look like that shuts him up and makes him open the locks. After that, Kafka stands up, and before he looks ahead, Shinomiya points the pistol at his eye. The kid hadn't yet had time to react, and then finds it in front of him again, a wound in his chest, and he took blood from it and put it in that eye. He said to him, don't say, I am human with your tongue again, because no human can block a bullet with his hand. Like you, transform, come on, and show your true form, because I will whip you now. Kafka was listening to the words, of course, and didn't understand anything, and didn't know what would happen to him. After that, the director Shinomiya says to those with him to take out the weapon and put it on Indeed, and it seems he will break the place. Kafka was about to take a defensive stance, and then ate a blow on his hand that cut it off. It threw him in the air. He hadn't yet had time to see it, and then another one in his chest tore his skin. His transformation was half complete, but not completing fully, and he wants to save himself because the director Shinomiya was in front of him and not giving him any chance, and it seems he will whip him. He flies after him in every spot, and Kafka tries to escape from him and dodge the attacks, but still he wasn't knowing. Shinomiya's strength is terrifying and catches him very quickly and also hits him, and literally Kafka is being hit on the head. He says in his mind, how is he so strong? This isn't 100% human strength coming from his suit. No, this is the strength of a kaiju, exactly like me, and maybe stronger than me too. And indeed, my friend, Kafka's words turn out to be correct, and that's because the weapon that Shinomiya has is not an ordinary weapon. No, it was in the past a powerful and very dangerous kaiju, and it managed to destroy entire cities alone. It annihilated people and killed many units, and finished off planes, and no one could handle it. But everyone gathered against it and killed it, and after that, they made a weapon from its body, and that is what Shinomiya is using now. Indeed, Shinomiya launches at Kafka with great speed and cuts off his arm, and the kid hadn't yet had time to turn, and then gave him another blow in his leg that broke it. He was about to strike the final blow, and then the monster appeared in the place. Yes, Kafka transformed into a kaiju complete. He then let out a terrifying scream that terrified everyone in the place. Kikoru was watching and didn't understand who this is. How can he do this like her friend Kafka? The director Shinomiya also turns back and knows that the situation has changed indeed. The kaiju had taken control of Kafka's consciousness and trapped him inside it, intending to finish the matter quickly. He gathers all his strength and his terrifying aura appears and attacks Shinomiya with stupidity, and it seemed he would kill him. Shinomiya immediately dodges the attack, but then Kafka turns his body and gives him another one that finishes him off. He rains down on him a barrage of attacks and shows no mercy, and literally Kikoru is in utmost terror. Kafka was also seeing himself hitting the director and not showing mercy and not knowing what to do. In the meantime, specifically Rino, the kid was constantly training hard and not seeing what was in front of him. Iharu is surprised why he is doing this and how he isn't affected by his friend's imprisonment. After that, he said to him, don't worry, I am sure he will return. He has will and determination like no one else, and he will never give up and will prove to everyone that he is human. But I now want to be stronger before he comes, so that after that, I will be the one to protect him and not let him sacrifice himself again. When he hears him, he is affected by the words and repeats his training. He also, and everything is cool. Let's return to our fight, in which the director Shinomiya came back like that and tried to attack Kafka with all his strength. He strikes a blow indeed, and the kid flew, but the surprise is that his monster thing was behind him regenerating, and Shinomiya sees it in front of him and literally is shocked, and the monster hits him with a blow with all its strength that made the shield in his hand give out. But still, the attack attack with all strength. Shinomiya can't handle the kid, and literally everyone was terrified. This overwhelming ability, the attack continues between the two, and Shinomiya and Kafka currently have equal strength, and this bald guy was very surprised, saying, since Director Shinomiya was intending to use that strength and kill him, why did he leave him until now and not kill him? It seems he is thinking of something. Yes, Kikoru remembers her conversation with her father and knows that he is giving a chance to her friend because he saved his daughter and is affected in the end. Anyway, the monster at that time had changed to its second form, and its color became red, and its strength increased again, and Shinomiya immediately uses the shield to protect himself from the attack. But it's over, my dear. You won't be able to handle. Kafka sends him flying and runs at him again and breaks his head, and Shinomiya uses the cannon of his weapon on the kid, hoping that he can defeat him. But still, Kafka stands firm in his place and absorbs his attacks and attacks him. Again, he gives him one that throws him back and flies at him immediately and grabs him, throws him into the pillars, and rains down blows on him from every part and shows no mercy. And the man had finally reached his tolerance limit, and it seemed he would die. Kikoru was watching her friend hitting her father and was constantly shouting and begging Kafka to wake up. The kid, of course, wasn't here and was struggling and trying to get himself out of the monster's will and control his body, but still, he wasn't. He says in his mind, I can never kill her friend's father in front of her eyes. I must get out of here in the fastest way. He gets out indeed from place, and then found the kaiju in front of him eating him. Kafka fell in a place full of water, and his consciousness finally began to fade. Shinomiya is also in his last moments. It seemed this is the end. The kid was about to close his eyes, and then Mina held his hand, saying to him, I am waiting for you. Don't give up, Kafka. I want you with me. After that, the kid strikes the final blow, and then it didn't come at Shinomiya. He hit himself and stopped his attack. He says after that to the commander, while drowning in his blood, I told you I am human. My name is Hibino Kafka. Death is more merciful to me than killing someone I respect. Okay, bye. After that, the kid faints, of course. His transformation disappears, and the soldiers appear to finish him off, but Shinomiya stops them. He says to them, take him to the treatment room quick. The kid then, when he hears him, removes the mask on him and says to him, your idea. Do you want to die by yourself or something? I am ready anytime for what you want. Shinomiya says, I don't need anything from you now. But his strength turned out to be bigger than what I expected by a bit. Anyway, like that, I found out everything I wanted. Indeed, Kafka goes to receive treatment, and the meeting for his trial is held. Everyone then was gathered, and Mina presents all the evidence she has for him, and his friends say their opinion, and the final decision will be taken. And yes, my friend, as you want, Kafka is exempted from his title as a monster, and his execution is postponed so they can use him as a weapon against the kaiju. The message after that is sent to all members of the 3rd Division, and Mina, when she sees the message, becomes very happy and smiles, and the situation is extremely cool. Reno is also very happy, and everyone is joking, and no one understands how Kafka did it. After that, Shinomiya goes to Kafka after he wakes up and informs him of the developments. The kid becomes very happy and doesn't know how to act, but says to him, even though you want to use me as a weapon, I am very happy because I will be able to stand by Mina's side again and will use all my energy and kill the monsters. Shinomiya then says to him, don't be too happy, man. Just try to live up to my expectations of you, or you will be executed again. The kid says to him, okay, man, and sleeps from exhaustion, and everything is extremely cool. But this coolness won't last long, my friend. And I found that Kaiju number 9 was much more evolved than the last time and learned everything about humans. It seems he is currently planning something not good and cooperating with another monster of its kind, and it seems he's not up to any good. Anyway, until here, our first season ends. If you liked it, don't forget the like and subscription, man. Okay, goodbye.